from his parents. And so he's still actually, dealing with all the issues that he's been dealing with, which namely his brother wants to kill him and he was deceptive. But at the same time, right, he's got a call of God in his life. It doesn't make him perfect. It just makes him with a call of God in his life. And so he's going on this journey. And the idea of this journey seems to be picking up. The journey, not only is he getting closer to the end of wandering for days, by foot, because that's how they traveled back then, but also he's encouraged because he's had a revelation of God, a personal revelation of God. A lot of people know about God, right? They say the word God. They know there's a God out there somewhere. They have kind of this idea of an esoteric God that, God, yeah, I look out, I see. There's order and there's law and there's rule and there's seems to be some sort of intelligence in the universe, but I don't really know that God. It oftentimes seems like a lot of people like that. And then when you get a personal visit from God where God reveals himself to you in a real way, it changes everything. It would have changed everything for Jacob as well. And so he's picked up a little bit, maybe feeling a little bit better about the journey. Maybe some of the stuff is starting to go away where he's not so worried about his brother killing him. And we don't know that part for sure, but at least he's getting some distance between them. And then he gets to this place and he looks and he sees a field, and in the field, now this wouldn't be the well where the people come to. He sees a well, right? This isn't the well where people would come to get their water at the time. That would be closer to the city gates. This was a well in the middle of a field where they would bring all the flock. So it's cattle and sheep and whatever, goats and whatever people had, and that's where they would get their water. But because they're also in a hot climate, we should understand this. They covered the well in the daytime because, evaporation. Right? So you don't want to set that water out there. In addition, my guess is it would tend to get a little warm. You ever sat something out in the car and left it out in the car and then you come back to get it later? You ever pick up one of those cool drinks? Right? You get the drink from the gas station or whatever and you accidentally leave it in the car. You can't drink that later. Unless you want. Right, unless you went like me, you go get a tea and then you come back and you get watered down hot tea. Right, so you went from a cold iced tea to, this is gross. And so, they cover the well. It would keep all the water there as well as it would keep it from becoming a spa. And they cover the well with a rock. Now this is you gotta understand this. This is it's not like just a little hole in the ground, wishing well type thing. It's a large body of water, or large enough where you could bring all the different sheep and cows and goats and whatever else it was that people, are herding around out there. And they would bring them all there. By the way, this is just kind of a tradition type thing, and some places still do it this way, where you find a good watering hole, everyone brings their sheep to the same watering hole at the end of the day. We don't really do that here, so it's not really our culture. It's more of an Eastern culture thing, but they would all bring them to the same place. So a couple of things with that. They would cover it with a large rock. When it says large rock, it means really large rock, like it would take 7, 9, or maybe sometimes more men to move said rock, just slide it off to slide it back on where the water's at. So it's not a tiny thing. It's not a light thing. That's important to keep in mind as you read the story, because sometimes we don't understand who some of these people are in terms of the physical descriptions. We don't really get a physical description other than, like, Esau was hairy. That's the physical description we have. Also, he seems to have an anger management problem, but that's not really the issue at this point because, he's not there. And the anger management problem is not really a physical trait. But anyway, so we get a large stone, too big for one person to move. Right? Large, thick, flat rock. Okay? So I want you to keep that in mind. It would take multiple full-grown men who were out doing this all day, every day, to move this stone. I'm not talking about 3 guys who work in the office, right? Or 3 guys that are on the show, The Office. We're talking about 3 full-grown, outdoorsy, manly men 4, 5, 6, depending on the size of the stone, but it would take multiple men, right, to move this stone from the mouth of the well. Now, there were some flocks gathered around that place, not enough to move the stone at this point. So what we know is the information we get, specifically verse 3, it says, now, right? This is what's happening. And then all the flocks would come at the end, usually in the evening time. It's when you would water the sheep, and then you go off, and then, you have night, you get up the next day, wash, rinse, repeat. So Jacob sees people there. They're waiting for the day to end, waiting for the time for it to be watering. The stone is still there. There's not enough people to move it as of yet. He goes to talk to the people because he thinks he's close, right? Hey, where are you guys from? What's going on here? All of a sudden he's Mr. Friendly, right? Right? And they introduce him, and it turns out they're the people he's looking for from the place that he's looking to be. And they know the people he wants to stay with. This is all good news. By the way, a lot of times you look at a thing like this and you don't see it in there. We moved right straight from God revealing himself to Jacob having some things line up. And sometimes when you're really excited, when the things line up,